Titans Season 2 has come to a close, and we are talking all about it on this episode of DC On Screen. The podcast where we discuss the DC Comics multiverse on film and television, give honest opinions on projects upcoming and past, and believe that every version of a property is valid, even if we do not want it to be. If it's been released, it's fair game, so beware of spoilers. Welcome to the show. My name is Robertson. This is Jason Goss.
Hi.
Hey man, I did the opening in a funky way, and I didn't mean to, but I did it, and I didn't feel like jumping back and redoing it. So it sounds weird, but whatever.
I'm giving a double greeting, and we're fine.
That's right, and double's fine because this is our second helping of Titans.
It's okay. Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, it works, right?
We'll take it.
Nah.
Yeah, but yeah.
All right. Real quick, we are trying to get to 100 ratings and reviews over on Apple and I'll put a link in the show notes, or you can go to dconscreen.com and there will be a link there. But we're trying to get to that. We are, I think, at 81, and we did get left a review. Is that the way that doesn't sound right, but I'll say it that way. We did get left a review. And we'll talk about that on the next news episode, which I believe should be next week.
Yes.
But this week we're just talking about Titans. And we do want to thank our patrons, though.
Yes.
Patreon.com/DC on screen. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be throwing up a Chasing Squirrels this week. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, most likely.
All right. So let's get into Titans, man. Because we're going to be talking about this season with probably a certain amount of emphasis, a good emphasis on the finale, I would say.
Yeah, that's our style normally, for sure.
Yeah, but before I get into the finale, I've got stuff to say about the rest of the season, because I feel like if we just talk about the finale up front, it's going to be unfair to the rest of the season.
No, give it its proper play. What you got?
All right. So a lot of people said the season premiere was weird, right? They did wrap up the Trigon story really quickly. Yeah. Too quickly.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, it does give season 1 way less weight, but I did like the episode. And it's weird because in the last week, we've gotten all sorts of confirmation and pictures and stuff that Nightwing was going to show up in the finale last year in costume. They put out a picture of Starfire was in costume, Raven was in costume. We don't even have costumes for them yet. But they're all standing there in that original finale with Dick as Nightwing in the costume we have currently. So, and I think that would have been too soon.
Yeah. I like the idea that it was thought of as a fast forward that didn't make sense.
Yeah, and I understand why they changed it, but it's still super weird. And but I was willing to defend at that point. I was willing to defend their season finale last year. Willing to defend the season premiere this year. Giving them some leeway. I don't think I'll be doing that this year.
Oh no, I'm happy to defend either of them.
Oh, this is going to be interesting then.
Yeah.
So over the course of the season, I really liked the lead up. I liked seeing the Titans training.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I felt like it was appropriate that Jason Todd and Rose found each other. It was nice that the two really obnoxious characters found each other. We have an attitude.
I like that you think they're obnoxious in a way that's no, maybe they have some grounds.
Well, but yes, but I specifically feel like that is fan service making Jason Todd an obnoxious character.
Completely agree there. But I think that's them doing their job as showrunners.
Absolutely.
That they built that into the character.
Mm-hmm. So, I really liked how they found each other, and I really liked, pretty much every bit of the episode where Rose goes into her backstory until Jason Todd reacts to it.
Why?
And then I'm just well, first of all, they wrote it in a way where he kept saying lines and then going, huh? And I was like, what are you, Joey Lawrence on Blossom? What is happening here?
I don't even remember that. Sorry.
Huh?
I don't even remember that. You have to point it out. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was just right before he left, and he just kept saying, oh, what do you think? Blah, 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 huh? So he just kept saying huh after every sentence. It was weird and annoying.
Okay, but, that may be a bit on you.
It may be.
In their relationship, he puts himself out there. She is reticent, And then later when she's a little more open, he isn't ready for that anymore.
Yeah,
and
I'm not like really against what happened, just the execution of it. The execution was kind of iffy for me, but this season was pretty fantastic.
Execution, but yeah, that I think that may be a perception thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little nitpick. I really did enjoy the season for the most part. Never enough Superboy, dude. Like Superboy was great.
No, but They did two great things with this season. Is one, Superboy and Crypto were both characters they've built on, and they definitely have a place going forward. But also, the major character they already had in place was Donna Troy, and they kind of, I mean, we're not done with her.
No, we're not.
Just no fucking way.
No, and they better not be.
Yes, and also they better not be. That's one of those things where, they cannot be done with that story. And I like that they took the two giant guns out and also gave, even Coriander has a side story where she gets disarmed, but it has to do with the overwhelming story of her planet. Like her planet and their troubles have a different story in a lot of ways. Like that's something they can go to in the next season, which by the way we're getting, so great. Could not be happier about that. But the fact that all of the major the more superpowered characters have some limiting factor, I love that.
Yeah, I like the limited factor. Again, don't like the execution, and we'll get to that because it's pretty much all for me is all in the finale where it kind of falls apart on me.
All right,
if that makes sense. I loved how broken the team was. I loved that the whole Jericho storyline. I don't know why he wasn't called Joseph. Jericho was his code name in the I don't know why. It's weird to me, but whatever. That's fine.
It's fine to just go with Jericho as that's his name.
Yeah, it's
fucking difference.
It's one of those things where I've seen a lot of people beg the question, and it's a thing I thought of myself, and it did bug me a bit. Not trying to get too hung up on it, but it was weird to me. But the kid did a great job playing Jericho.
Oh yeah, no, he was fantastic.
And everybody here did a really good job of acting. I think the kid playing Superboy, I was amazed that they could find a guy who could pull that role off, who looked like a combination of Henry Cavill and Tom Welling.
That's possible. He kept to me looking like a swole Cameron Monaghan.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all.
But either way, and especially juxtaposed to last season where they were not quite Superboy in the credits. The fact that he was playing it, and he played it very well. It was subtle in places and amplified in others. There isn't an actor or actress in this series that I would say oh, this is a thing you did. No, man, everyone here had a great performance. I genuinely don't know if I could point to one person and say no, you were the problem. No, you weren't.
No.
Also, even nestling it that way, I don't think there were problems. I really fucking enjoyed this series.
All right, on Superboy, when he went to Kansas, he has memories of both Clark and Lex. He accidentally goes to the wrong farm. He goes to Luthor Farm. And that was just super cool to me. We had all these little snippets of memory from him, remembering how Lionel was a complete dick to Lex. And it's a completely different take on Lionel than we've really seen before. We generally get the rich piece of shit Lionel who expects his kid to be, X, Y, and Z. This time we get
super entitlement kind of thinking.
This time we get super conservative, possibly a member of the KKK type of Lionel Luthor.
Yeah.
A complete piece of shit.
Yeah.
In a completely different way, who comes from humble beginnings, the kind of guy that Lex would just like not want to be anything like, and therefore strive to become like rich city guy who's constantly shoving it in his old man's face. Like, this is what I achieved without you. But still like ever present emotional, in emotional turmoil in his life, just the memory of his father. Right. I loved seeing this dude, and actually they humanized him too. Like, we saw where that he hit Lex, he beat Lex, and then for him to like be alone in his old age and sort of almost played it as a sympathetic character. It was interesting, and I thought it was a really unique take that I haven't seen before. And maybe I'm missing some comic story or something somewhere where I should have anticipated that kind of interpretation. But I've never seen that version of Lionel, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like it.
Now, I'll say this though, like that scene would have been perfect to me, or that whole story would have been perfect to me if Cadmus hadn't shown up. And that was fine. Cadmus showing up made sense. But there's this bit where they like shoot like a freaking rocket launcher or something, and Crypto like jumps up and grabs the rocket and like spins and throws it out the window. Yeah. And it is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Like, that was like Jason Statham in Transporter, like hitting a missile. They did a bit in one of the Transformer movies, or Transporter movies, sorry, where someone shoots a rocket launcher at Jason Statham and he picks up a freaking serving tray and knocks it out the window. This is the comic book version of that. I was just like, no, I refuse to believe this happens.
I would say that, but in the context of this series, in this season, we have a broken Connor. I'm sorry. We have a broken Connor, and we have a Crypto who is aware of the entire thing, who is protective. And like the idea that he can, that Crypto can just throw that out the side door, and that Connor has no fucking idea what's happening.
Now, see, what I don't have a problem with is Crypto seeing it and fetching it and catching it. What I have a problem with is like, and maybe it was partially just how it looked because of effects work and stuff, but like, what I just don't believe that Crypto would be like, and now I will spin around perfectly and throw it out the window. Like, no,
every version of Crypto that I have ever been aware of, he would know that is going to be a problem. Like, he would not just be like, I'm going to fetch and just be blown up by it. This is not a dumb animal.
He's not a dumb animal, but I don't think he's so smart to know. Like, I think he would fetch it and like fly through a wall to get it away. I mean, just don't.
All right, let me give you a real world example from our from our world. If I threw like you know those like bouncy balls that have the little lights in them that you can throw to dogs, and they bounce around like the little reflex balls kind of thing, and they just bounce everywhere, and the dogs chase them. If I also threw a Roman candle already lit on the ground, that dog would be like, get that shit the fuck out of here.
That's fine. It's just,
we're also dealing with Crypto, who I think has like a real world level intelligence that, in all fairness, we appreciate canonically. Like, one of our favorite scenes of the animated series is like Crypto floating outside while Batman's spying on Superman.
That wasn't the animated series. That was an Ed McGuinness, Jeff Loeb run.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
In the books.
I've conflated the two, but yeah, the scene is the same, and
it is. That
the
is
intelligence factor.
But that is, yes, but that is an instinctual intelligence, not a. Hey, I mean, I'm not bothered by the fact that he knew the missile was bad.
Instinctual intelligence to like, if I throw something at my dog, he just knows that's coming at me. And if I throw something near my dog, he might just fetch it.
Right. And I don't have a problem with him fetching or knowing that it's bad. I have a problem with him knowing exactly what to do with it.
I kind of don't know way. In a certain way, like, I get that he's like, nope, fuck that, and just sends it into space.
I think we're just going to have to come to an impasse and call it on this argument, because I didn't like it, and you're defending it. So,
I mean, I get it. But if I were that dog and I was like, I don't understand what's happening here. I'm just gonna put it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Like the same way they would bury a bone. I don't know. It's similar instincts. Just like, nope, fuck that. Elsewhere.
Yeah. All right. I did love how Crypto like kept finding Connor though.
Oh, that's adorable. I love it.
Yeah, that rung true for me.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Crypto should be able to find Connor.
Yeah, I pretty much liked almost everything with Superboy. I loved the Dr. Eve Watson storyline with Superboy and her trying to help him out.
Yeah, that was nice.
And I loved Superboy's initial interaction with and friendship with Gar. Like I loved how Gar was like reading to him, and like he was just kind of left alone in Titan's Tower to care for him.
Oh, that was nice. And by the way, the apology later when Nick has to go to him and just say that was on me. I shouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
That was so good.
Yeah, that was great that they hung that lantern, because the whole time I was thinking like everybody left Gar with Superboy. What pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Like, that is, like, terrible for them to do to Gar. Like, that's just, I don't know, man. That sucked.
Like, in all fairness, there's some string left on the table where, like, even Gar says, like, so I should just contact Batman because he apparently knows Superman, and he gets super excited. But when he tries to contact Bruce, he gets nothing.
Yeah.
It's one of the few things where I was like, I don't know where the series is going, because when he tries to contact Bruce, nothing, and then later when Raven has apparently brought them all together, and Bruce is at the table in the last episode, and everything's copacetic. Bruce has nothing.
Yeah,
I think the idea of Bruce is being used in a lot of ways, and it comes to bear in the entire fucking Nightwing lead up story. That's so fucking good. So good.
Yeah.
Everything with him in prison is phenomenal.
Everything. But yeah.
There is a lot to do with the fact that Bruce Wayne is there, and competing stories of him as a reality that is confusing.
Which is as it should be, I feel like, for Batman.
It makes sense. Yeah. Like that could just be Bruce Wayne being deceitful as fuck, because that's what he does.
Yeah.
But it could also have the hypothesis in the finale is that Raven
did it.
Yeah. Did Raven just do that to us? And yeah, maybe, but it also could be something that's so deep that Nightwing is doing it to all of you. I don't know. I mean, he did it to himself.
Which, by the way, I love the idea that all like Bruce leaves in the middle of the desert. Bruce leaves, and all of these and by the way, like if it was Raven, it was some subconscious version of herself, because she was led to Elko as well. Yeah. But I love
it's
that
a split part of her mind if it happened that way.
Yeah. I do love that scene where they were like, so did Bruce Wayne just really bring us all to Elko to mansplain some shit to us? Yep.
Yes.
And they're just like, yep. And okay. It made perfect sense, because he's Bruce freaking Wayne. Like, that's,
I loved that. And crazily enough, the part that stuck with me later was like, he ate that donut. He ate that donut that Starfire made that bitch make. Like, she gave a hostile speech about how I came here for those donuts, and you've got sugar and batter and make this shit work. And later he was like, oh, a jelly.
Yeah.
Made off with it. That part bizarre. Really, like, I don't know, it brought it into me.
And if it is, like, part of me hopes the Trigon storyline isn't dead. Like, I would love to see
part of me hopes the entire season was some reflection of this thing.
Yeah, to some degree. Like, because he was defeated far too easily.
He was. And also, Deathstroke was not, he wasn't defeated too easily.
He was.
And there was a lot, there was a lot of lead up that would make it make sense, but it would make sense if somebody told me, like, no, that was in your head. That fucker, you've still got to worry about him.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff here in this show that I'm starting to wonder about here. I love Walter
dubiousness,
Hahn,
if you're a viewer.
Walter Hahn, the Cadmus agent, he tells Dawn and Donna that they did some sort of, quote, brain salad surgery to Gar.
Yeah.
Which is a great reference to the prog rock band Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It was an album they released in '73. Brilliant, wonderful cover. One of my favorite album covers of all time, even if I'm not a big fan or anything. But
still, good pull.
Yeah. And by the way, I've seen some people be like, this is a Cadmus agent who's employed by Lex Luthor. There's no way that he would just let Don and Donna in, just because they're like delivering his sushi or whatever. But I love that like they kind of flirt with him a bit, and as they walk in, he goes, "I deserve this. I deserve this." Okay, so that totally didn't work out for him, but had it been anyone else delivering that food and trying to get in there, I don't think he would have bought it. He would have seen through it. But I can't fault his reasoning here. Because his morals, we already know those are faulty.
Mm-hmm.
If you're working for Cadmus, making shady-ass, non-humanitarian decisions on the daily, a possible three-way with Donna and Don is a no-brainer. Like, I feel like even the best of us would struggle with that decision.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I mean, it's virtual anyway. All right. I don't know, maybe. It's not even... If you could describe it as like a non-destructive format of that, yeah, maybe you might decide to go for it.
Was it virtual?
Yeah, but not destructive to their personality or physicality.
Mm.
We're like, no, it's just in their heads or your head or whatever.
I didn't think it was just in either of their heads. This was a real thing I thought that happened, is they showed up at his house pretending to have his delivery, and then they tied him up and found shit out about where they were keeping Gar.
Oh, yeah, that part. Okay, yeah.
But anyway, that guy was fun. He's like, "I don't report to you. You do now." Oh, shit. Mercy was great in this thing. This is my favorite version of Mercy I've ever seen.
It's not a bad one.
Oh, I mean, I think it's far beyond not a bad one. Like...
I mean, starting with the like fake execution,
and
then ending with her giving like, "Oh shit,
dude!" I don't like oh my god, just like putting all that shit in Gar's head, having him like kill those real scientists, just sitting there with a smile on her face. Also, I don't know where DC Universe I don't know where they're getting these people. I mean, it's enough that all the dudes on the show are hot, and, I am completely, I'm completely straight dude, have no problem saying, yes, all these men are hot. These men are ridiculously hot. But these women, I haven't felt this way since I was 13. Like, I've never had so many celebrity crushes. Like,
I love your Keynesian scale version of the, no, for context, all these men are super attractive. I understand that. Fundamentally, and also, oh my god, these women.
Yeah, like, I don't want to be unfair to the men. Very attractive males.
These are attractive men. I understand. I get it.
But, like, Dawn, Donna, Mercy, like, what are you guys doing? Like, is this from a lost continent? What? Where are you getting these women?
Oh, speaking of which, maybe my favorite moment of the finale was Dawn being the one who's like, "What the fuck are you all doing?
Mm-hmm.
We have work to do." And
that was nice.
Some part of me kind of wondered, realistically, like it seems like every time they get food together, they eat like 2 bites, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we have to do this extremely calorically devastating activity of fighting a fucking bad guy from the 7th dimension."
Well,
but I'm glad you got 2 bites of balsamic seasoned salad before you got onto that adventure.
Well, you know why.
Yeah.
Like, eating is a good reason for everyone to get together so that they can all do something together and leave.
Thematically, it's great.
Also,
cinematically, it's great.
Eating scenes are a nightmare to edit.
Oh, yeah, no, they're terrible. Continuity people just commit suicide instead, I assume.
Now, I want to get it back up to the lead up of the finale, because I've got a lot of stuff to say about this finale.
All right, good.
All right, so I liked how Dick is sort of punishing himself. He goes to jail, and I did like how he comes up with the idea for Nightwing. And I enjoyed that it made sense to me that Bruce has a whole team of costume makers who are just like, I like that it's not just like poor old like sweatshop Alfred like hemming everyone's uniforms somewhere in a cave. But
you have to know, like, you have to know where to find somebody.
Mm-hmm. I did think it was a neat take on how Dick comes up with it, using like the guys who had that legend of the, basically Nightwing who was going to save them.
Yeah.
And they had like the Nightwing symbol.
That's solid. And also he earns the shit out of that symbol, like in the course of the series.
He did.
At least he earns a new thing. And one of my favorite parts is when they walk away from that same dinner table, Bruce kind of mentions, like, yeah, it's a far cry. It's like, yeah, it is. He doesn't apologize for it. He just says, yeah, it is. Like, no resentment. There's no underlying, there's no emotion to it. He just agrees, yeah, and that seems to be okay.
Which,
I love that.
It is a great point to bring up. I want more Bruce in Dick's head. I love the idea that
I don't
Dick
know
is
if you're going to get it at this point.
I don't.
I think you got a lot of it, and it was really good. Those prison in his head fight scenes were fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm. And I love the idea.
See Bruce in his prime form, like just putting him down, getting to see his actual fights. God, it was so good.
I love that Dick is so damaged by his past that he's got Bruce Wayne in his head. Like,
yeah, to the point that he can't win a fight in his own head.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you know what that actually reminded me?
It was great, but it gave us a glimpse of what Bruce Wayne as Batman is capable of, and I loved that as well. I mean,
do you remember the Scrubs bit where JD imagines him and Turk as Batman and Robin, and he's Robin, and he's like, "What does it say about me that in my own fantasy, I'm the sidekick?" And then we pan over to Turk as Batman, who says, "Well, look at it this way: it's not like you're Alfred, or at least you're not Alfred." And it cuts back to him, and he's dressed as Alfred, and he goes, "Damn you, sir!" That's what it reminded me of. It's like Dick can't even win a fight against Bruce in his own head. And I love
but it made sense later. Like he needed that fight. He needed to fight something inside himself, and then it turned out on the one hand he was fighting the idea that he, I don't know, could be somebody outside of the Bruce shadow, which is always the idea of any Robin. And it also had to do later with him kind of realizing that even when Deathstroke was talking to him as just Wilson, he was miming things as Jericho. Like it gives him this insight. It's like, no. There's a reason I didn't attack him that day.
Yeah, that was all good.
Yeah.
All right. I want to say I love Ian Glenn as Bruce. I've seen a lot of people complain about it. I think he is perfect in a way I couldn't have imagined. He feels to me like the Adam West iteration of Batman had that version of Batman happened in a much darker reality.
I love two things. I love his poise. And I love his accent.
Yeah.
I had to adjust to the accent, but
I did too.
In the context of what he grew up with, basically growing up in like a nightmare version of New Jersey, his accent actually makes some sense. And I love that he stuck to it and it made sense. And more than anything, he sold me on his poise. He sold me on the idea that he was Bruce Wayne and like an older Batman who could probably take you if he wanted to, but that's not what I'm here for now. And
feels a little more like an Oracle rather than a Batman.
Yes, very much so.
I loved his relationship with Dick. I love the father-son relationship. And look, if you're one of these people, and I'm sorry if this is a sore spot for you, but I'm going to try to make this work for you. Because I've seen a lot of younger men complain that, like, my Batman doesn't have a bald spot. Well, look. There are certain guys out there who sort of fetishize this concept of real men don't go bald. Batman wouldn't go bald. He's going to have a perfect head of hair. Well, really, he's going bald.
Like
if he's going bald,
60+% of men go bald.
Yeah, and if he's going bald, it means he's got too much damn testosterone, probably, which means more DHT, killing his follicles. And also, being Batman is very stressful. You're going to lose a little hair.
I love the super involved theory.
Well, as a balding man myself, I feel compelled to stick up for Bruce here.
You have a 1 in 3 chance of keeping your hair as a guy. I'm just guessing at the percentage based on some It's been a long time since I've seen that stat. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the variants, like if you gave somebody like a 1 in 3 chance of keeping your hair, and then you're like, also you're in charge of
Wayne Enterprises and your Batman,
fucking 10-digit corporation, and also in your spare time you're the goddamn Batman.
Right.
You're probably losing your fucking arm hairs.
Oh, not to mention. Let's bring this up too.
Yeah.
I don't ever wear shorts, and there are big patches on my legs where just hair doesn't grow anymore. Like,
oh, is that a thing? I didn't know that.
Yeah, my jeans rub my hair off. So if you're wearing a cowl all the time, I can make this work. And I'm sorry if you're one of these guys. I don't know what your deal is. I don't know if you're just like, no, my Batman doesn't go bald because that's for losers. I don't know if it's like a situation where you're like secretly jerking off to the idea of Batman with hair because you're lying to yourself and telling you that you're not fantasizing about Batman. You're fantasizing about being Batman. I don't know what your problem is, but there's nothing wrong with a balding Batman. I'm sorry. Representation matters. This is the first Batman I could feel myself being a part of.
I know, and I do want to point out that at some point you had problems with Wonder Woman not having blue eyes.
That does bother me a little bit still, but I think that's just because I feel like that lends to an otherworldly quality about her. Like, she doesn't seem like she belongs in the world that she is from or the world that she is in. You know what I mean? Like, it's
no, it gives her
like,
that super you're a minority piece of the genome kind of. Oh yeah, you're not normal.
Like, even if the actress had
in the good
like
way,
normal,
if that's possible.
Yeah, like I am a huge proponent of the idea that like you can have to make somebody look a little extra special. I mean, not extra, but a little extra special. You take some minuscule quality, because people focus on the eyes. Even if they had cast an actress, and I'll say the same thing for the Superman character. One of the things that they did really right, I feel like one of the things I love that Bryan Singer did is he took Brandon Routh, who has naturally brown eyes, and gave him these sort of otherworldly blue contact lenses.
Yeah. Even
if they had cast someone with blue eyes, they're just going to be normal blue. I want that shit to be like otherworldly blue. Like, to me, like when we look at comic books, we look at Batman's white eyes, and that denotes an air of supernatural ability. When we look at Superman, we see like these like bright, like baby blue eyes, and we think like, oh, that's God level. You know, like there's something subconscious inside of us that attributes that to power.
Yeah, there's a preternatural kind of feel to it. I get that.
Mm-hmm. So it's just one of my little hang-ups, and you know, I get hung up on weird shit like that, and I can't help it, and I'm not gonna lie about it. It's not going to like ruin a thing for me. I really love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
It's like a thing that, like, for you, sometimes I think it's a thing that would have improved a character in a way that is substantial, but it doesn't necessarily take away from the current version.
Right. And, you know, it's not all about just making people have blue eyes. I mean, personally, I feel like Chris Pine in the JJ Star Trek film should have had brown eyes. They should have changed that back to brown because Shatner had brown eyes. And
genetically, yes. Absolutely.
Genetically, yes.
I agree. But still a recessive gene, so fuck it. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. So anyway, I liked Ian Glenn as Bruce. I suppose I don't care. Like, if I've in the same vein that, you know, people have been like, my Batman would never be black. Well, I admit it would be kind of weird for me at first, but I'm down. Let's do it. Let's figure it out. Let's see if it would work.
No, like, fuck it. If
it's fine.
Like, the idea of a character is the idea of a character. If you hit all those marks, I don't give a shit about the superficial things.
Yeah.
They don't matter.
They don't.
They're literally called superficial.
Mm-hmm.
Just make the character work.
Yep.
But in this context, yeah, like I don't know. I loved a lot of what I've been shown here.
Mm-hmm. How much did you love Bruce doing the Bat Tootsie in Dick's brain?
Oh, that was a nice callback. That was a really nice callback.
Now, we saw Gar as a snake in the premiere. And once they started doing the brain surgery on him at Cadmus, I was like, oh, this is how he's going to realize he can do different things. And
apparently that just confined him. But that made... All right, and it was frustrating knowing his character and knowing what he can do. But storytelling-wise, it made some sense. Because it gives them a box within which they can play without completely breaking it open. Like the same reason they're going to kill Donna right now, or slightly neuter what Starfire can do, and kind of still keep open what Raven can do. But we've worked for 2 years to get to that point.
Yeah.
Like you have to keep people's powers within the range of what you're trying to do as a storyteller.
Yeah, and
I get that. But it can be frustrating looking at one character and be like, no, that's not what that character can do. And we're going to get there. Just hang in.
I'm definitely having heroes type issues with this show.
Sometimes.
Where I'm like, damn it, enough is enough. Have something happen.
At least heroes with whole cloth, where you could be like, no, I don't know about this. But with this, we're referencing some,
some pretty big hitters in some cases.
65, 70 years in a lot of people's or characters' cases. We know these people. So I like the point in the series finale or the season finale that hit the least for me was Donna Troy dying from electroshock. No, sorry, no, that didn't hit for me.
Oh it didn't hit for me at all.
That was a huge non-point. Like when Rachel goes off to see her, I was like, okay, emotionally, I like a lot of what's going on, but in effect, practically, no, this doesn't work for me.
I will say, like this show, and one more like pre-series finale point that I need to make. Yeah. Hawk and Dove, dude, Hank is an idiot. And that's really all I have to say about him. Like, Hank, dude, if you think you and Dawn aren't good together, that's some shit you keep to yourself. Like, find something you love and let it kill you, man. But his ass, like, oh, we're not good together, we're gonna screw up everything we touch when we're together. And then, like, proceeds to go off, fight in a cage, do tons of cocaine, and sleep with groupies. Nah, man, that shit's on you.
Dude,
she didn't have anything to do with your problem.
Exactly, though. That's exactly why it made sense, is it doesn't have anything to do with your problem.
No.
As junkie behavior, that made it complete sense to me. They even titled an episode Faux Hawk.
Yeah, I'm not saying it didn't make sense. I'm just saying he's an idiot.
He's an idiot. But
and it's frustrating to watch him do that.
I know. Junkie behavior is always frustrating to watch. It's one of the hallmarks of watching it. Like, you need patience to deal with junkie behavior. That's one of the things.
Here's the thing, though, because they could have had, and this is why I bring this up last.
Yeah.
If they had a 22, 23 episode season, that would have been a great single episode. But
you think it took up time?
We took up too much time for them to just wind up both back in the Titans together. Like, if he had been
they didn't end up necessarily together. They ended up together with terms. Right.
Absolutely. And they could have accomplished that without an entire episode of him having sex with weird chicks from a bar and tracking down his sold suit. That was stupid. Like, it would have been a great episode. It would have been a great episode of, like, pre-season 8 Arrow. But as far as, like, a limited time space, like, we got a lot of, like, episodes that just shouldn't have happened. Because Titans, at this point, and I'm willing to call it, Titans is the Stephen King equivalent of a superhero show. Like, they have great lead up, and they botch the ending. Because this entire season finale was garbage to me, almost. Like, I
didn't think it was garbage, but I felt like it was the thing people were going to rail about, was that, this is garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And I even saw it coming that some people, and you included, were going to say, like, oh no, the lead up is fantastic and the letdown is letdown.
Yeah. It's like an Adderall crash, dude. Like, this. Bethany and I were really excited to sit down and watch this finale. And, we're like, okay, cool. Corey doesn't have her powers. How the hell are they going to do this? And then I'm like, why is she going in the first place? Why is she the first to jump out of the car? Of course she gets shot in the arm. And Rachel healed her right away. So why did Dawn, Donna, and Rachel have to sit in the car and watch Nightwing and Ravager fight Slade? And initially it was just Nightwing. Like, clearly he's having a little issue. He's having some problem fighting Deathstroke, which, by the way, Deathstroke's the entire villain throughout almost the entire season. We know that Cadmus is around with Superboy, and that's cool.
Hold on.
Great...
Let's go back to the truck real quick. God.
There's so much.
Hold on. To the truck real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It is quickly established that they are pinned down. Donna's the one where I'm like, I think this is a problem.
Like,
but even
Raven
still,
has god demons coming out of her.
Okay, all right, but she doesn't know how to control what she's doing. Necessarily. So there are basically three people hanging out, and one of them has literally never bled until this moment, and it scares her.
And that's fine for her to stay in the car. I have no problem with her staying in the car. I don't think she should have been there in the first place. Leave her ass at Titan's Tower, son of a bitch. Leave her there.
Maybe, but if you were her, you would insist like, no, I don't know when this is going to fix itself, but I'm coming along. I would do that. I would have that amount of hubris. I'm like, no, I was a god. Like,
right. And I understand.
Like a month ago. Fuck that shit. I'm going.
I understand that from her point of view, and even her being in the car can be explained away by that. But for her to be the first to jump out was stupid. But
no, for her to be the first to jump out is also explained in that context where she's like, no, seriously, I can do this. No, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm injured.
Rachel healed her really quickly.
Rachel hit her really quickly. I had a little problem with how quickly she healed her, but also it doesn't change anything within the context of that car. She healed her very quickly, but that doesn't mean she can leave again because that shot went through her like forearm, but it could have gone
absolutely.
Through her
she shouldn't
head.
leave the car. Absolutely, she should not leave the car. I agree
Rachel
with you there.
Shouldn't leave the car because she doesn't like she's one of the things where like I've enjoyed watching her powers grow, but she still doesn't know what she's capable of and what she can stop.
But Dawn and Donna
stopped before.
Should have gotten out of that car.
Donna should not have gotten out of the car. Donna was beaten
now that we know that a little shock
person with all of her powers.
And I don't completely buy that myself, but
no, I mean, yes or no, buy it or not. But in the context of this show, Donna was literally left in the street to die by this man. I get that she didn't want to come out and actually face him.
So they let Dick do it by himself. I don't buy that that's in character for either of them. A new Dick.
I mean, not necessarily.
Dick.
Yeah, but and Deathstroke says as much. But I get that at some point he shows up and he's kind of the change in this season is his. They would have called it the rise and the lead up in the verbiage of the episode. Like he rises. Nightwing showing up versus Robin. Like Robin could not take this guy on, but Robin going through what he went through apparently can. And in all fairness, he shows up super confident, even asking like, "Who's hurt? All right, stay there," and just goes and takes this guy on.
A good way to have handled this was for him to have some sort of goons, or for Dawn and Donna and Rachel and Corey to actually have something to do other than just sitting in a car. Because the whole importance of having a team, the importance of having a team like the Titans.
They get there, but part of it
they don't get there. They don't get there though, because when they're fighting Superboy, they send them one at a time, and Corey goes up there like she's gonna do. We just established you don't have powers, dude. Why are you going single file
and
up to
she
fight
basically
Superboy?
goes up and says, "Oi, mate!"
Yeah, it's stupid. The whole point of having a team is that you work together. Yes, Donna got taken down by Deathstroke alone, but if she's helping Dick Grayson, Nightwing fight, you go and you help Dick fight Deathstroke. You don't wait for Deathstroke's daughter to run up and run him through with a sword.
Well, she didn't just come out of left field. We're talking about three people who psychologically were super scarred and super kind of pinned by the episode. And then,
but who hasn't been?
The two who, one who was just out of fucks and ready to deal with this guy. And by the way, didn't have he didn't have a reactionary or an oppositional agenda. He had a very proactive agenda. Like that scene wasn't about killing Deathstroke. That scene was about saving Jericho.
Right, absolutely. But, what would have been great for them to save Jericho is if Donna jumped out and lassoed his ass while Dick took him down and then got Jericho to,
it wouldn't have
ghost
mattered.
out of him.
They'd already established that Deathstroke could take any one of them out at any given time.
But he didn't.
Yeah,
Nightwing and Ravager took him down.
Yeah, together, after betraying him.
Together.
After betraying his trust and
I just don't
using
I don't
the
care.
inner Jericho dialogue to do it.
Yeah, and I don't even if they couldn't take him down, I don't buy that it's within any of those characters who are capable of fighting to not fight. I don't buy that Donna and Dawn wouldn't get out and try to do something. But again,
they really do. They show that later. They get to the point with the fairgrounds where that's the truth.
Or they decide we're a team, so we're going to go and try to tackle basically Superman Jr. by ourselves, each and every one of us.
I get that they're blindsided and
they're not even blindsided.
Stunned.
They're just stupid.
No, they're
make any
blindsided.
sense.
I mean, they were taken aback by that confrontation, and in all fairness, that confrontation took about 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, the Deathstroke thing just happened way too quickly. Like, that was a whole lot of season for nothing to happen.
I think that's where your questions arise about how it went down. Is that Deathstroke went down so fast that given last season not last season. Last season left it on a cliffhanger, and episode 1 of this season takes on Intrigan in a way. It's like, I don't know, serious, that was that easy? Really? Question mark? I get that part. And to have taken down Deathstroke so easily, I'm a little bit dubious. Like, on the one hand, I kind of want to say, like, yeah, they fought for it. There was a lot of lead up to it. It makes sense. I love that Ravager was there and that Jericho's back in some capacity, and I get that. On the other hand, I was like, I get how that could have happened too fast. And they even hang a lantern on it and say, like, is he dead? Yeah, he's dead.
I don't believe that's even true. Like, I don't think he's dead. Like, Slade
it's Deathstroke. Yeah.
He's Deathstroke, yeah. I think
I would like to see him dismembered and brought to different quarters of the earth before I was like, yeah, he's dead.
I suspect, well, he might be like Lobo. If he's like cut off an arm, it might grow another dead.
Into a fucking volcano before I was like, yeah, no,
another Slade. Then you'll have like 4 different Slades to deal with. All
right, so dropped into a volcano.
I think it would be interesting if this was all part of Slade's plan. Like, if he knew that Ravager was going... he knew that Ravager was going to betray him, but he didn't want Jericho to die, but he needed Jericho out of him so that he could have full control again. So he lets Jericho possess his sister and then, quote-unquote, dies, which I think is still stupid because the Titans know that he has healing abilities. They say it. But whatever. And then he comes back. Like, low-key, he wakes back up and comes back. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I was surprised that we got so little. I thought they would leave Cadmus and Superboy as a season cliffhanger. Just go ahead and just do like the Slade confrontation, then be like, oh, and now Superboy and Gar are going crazy, and they've got to go deal with that.
Yep.
But they tried to cram it all into one finale. It didn't work for me. I didn't like that, Corey even went out to fight Superboy. She has no powers. It doesn't make any sense. I did like Rachel calming Gar down.
Oh, that was fantastic.
That was good. I didn't necessarily buy the Dick in Connor's mind knocking down the walls shit. That was a little too on the nose for me.
I know. I kind of like that in a way.
And I didn't buy it when he says
you're... It made sense, though, with Connor and where he's been with Cadmus Labs.
Mm-hmm. I
bought that in a way that, like, if we were talking about Slade and whether he's down, or even Intrigan, whether he's down and all that, I bought hard that, yeah, Cadmus Labs has some tricks up its sleeve, but that Connor's released at this point, I bought that pretty hard.
I you know what I thought was really stupid, and this is a silly thing to be annoyed by, but the Superman shaped symbol that says Cadmus on it was real dumb to me. But Dick telling him, "Your family, and we will always find you." I buy it, but just barely. Like, most of the time Connor's been around, Dick has been gone. And I only buy it because Dick really only gets hard for saving strays. Like, he sees something in this and relates specifically.
There's an orphan instinct.
Yeah. He
but it's also, it makes sense for him, though. I mean, psychologically, it makes sense for him. And also, he did leave him be in Titan's Tower, but he also left him be in what he thought was a very secure place with a person that he thought maybe was capable of, I don't know, at the point that he left him be, kind of keeping track of a vegetable and then maybe calling Bruce if things went shit sideways.
I feel like Dick relates specifically to people who have abilities and struggle with the darkness within them, and people who have, in Dick's mind, been exploited by their parental figures, because that's Dick up and down. Like, he feels like Bruce has exploited him.
Robin, at his core, is a kid who had this extraordinary skill set physically and is exploited by the person who took him in after he faces great tragedy.
Yeah.
Everybody in this fucking show can relate to that.
But you know what would have made your family and we will always find you line really work for me? And Dick's interaction with him inside of his mind, if they had some sort of interaction before, like maybe Dick left after he had a conversation with Connor. All right. Like, maybe Connor wakes up and then Dick leaves after that. But if we had a conversation or something, or maybe some mind meld, some kind of bullshit, we already know Connor had Cal's memories. In the comics, Dick gets the name Nightwing from a Kryptonian hero called Nightwing.
That's one of the sources. Yeah,
that Superman remembered. And he named himself Nightwing in honor of Superman and because
he was a big admirer.
He was a big admirer, and he felt like Superman's lightness and hope was a light in the dark, a way away from Bruce's mentality. It was his way of not being Bruce.
Yeah.
It would have been great. And I enjoyed how the alternate take of how he came up with Nightwing. But they didn't talk about the name.
Especially, like, given that take, especially how this Bruce says, like, that's a far cry. He's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. I think it would have made more sense throughout the season. It would have made more sense with Dick and Connor connecting in that last episode if he had gotten the name for Nightwing from Connor, who has Superman's memories, and had Superboy wound up inspiring the lighter hero Dick was to become through those memories. I think it would have strengthened the bond between them, made the later scene in the finale make a lot more sense. It would have been a neat twist on an old tale that would have felt more cohesive and less random. That's just my opinion.
But I think I could argue that A Tale of Two Orphans finding each other, I know it's I know how hokey it sounds, but that idea that, like, even Raven is saying find the light, that resonated with me. Like, the fact that fucking the child of a demon is saying, like, just you got to find the light for this motherfucker. And it resonated to me with where Dick was in the context of the story. That all made sense. And the fact that you come out on the other side and he has this personality, I would like the idea that they eventually have some connection between, Superboy and Nightwing and all of the mythology of the Kryptonian mythology and all that stuff. But I could buy it as it is, and I think it might. I think you might get that moment, but in retrospect, and it might mean just as much. I think they could build to that.
Yeah,
they don't necessarily have to build from it.
I don't know. All right, so we've got, like, they've snapped Connor out of his shit. They've snapped Gar out of his stuff, and now we're in full on Ghostbusters final scene mode where everyone's cheering for them.
Yeah,
and Gar starts smiling and being like, "Yay, haha, we did good." I'm like, dude, you didn't do anything but eat people. Where's your remorse? Your happiness is a little tone deaf, buddy. Like, just cover up and go somewhere else. Like, I don't need you to be like, yeah.
But they've been building to the idea that he could try this out. They've been building to the idea that, and
come up with a good one, man.
Season 1, they've been building the idea that like, oh, I can still taste the blood in my mouth, and that he can separate himself from his other forms.
Mm-hmm.
And in this situation, that they clearly are manipulating him.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of get behind the idea that he is able to separate. That wasn't me.
Even though he shows remorse later, after that scene.
Yeah, but
then he's all torn up about it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just real flippity, dude. It's just real flimsy to me.
He also kind of, how do I put it? That part's a bit flippant, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I've thought about it, and I agree.
And of course, the thing we already know you agree about, one of my big final points is I hated that Ferris wheel beam or whatever the hell it was,
that was stupid.
Donna. That was the stupidest shit I've ever seen, man.
That was dumb.
Like that. I thought she pretty much had the powers of Wonder Woman, right?
No.
Yes and no. Like, even if I'm not sure what her power levels are, and I feel like neither do anyone writing the comics because her power levels have always been kind of wonky.
They go back and forth, but it's a percentage of Wonder Woman as far as I've ever seen. Like, hit the number you want to, but it's never 100%.
Well, I wouldn't say it was I wouldn't say it was 100%, but I also wouldn't say that like she would be downed by like a little electricity from a.
That was weird for me.
Basically, a little beam with some LEDs on it. Like, was it wrong? I mean, first of all,
no, I don't think it was a beam with some LEDs. I think it was a major structural thing that was holding up.
Okay,
this fair. I think there were thousands of amps going through this thing.
If you have a thing with thousands of amps that could electrocute somebody, like, you don't put that shit in an open area with a bunch of kids and stuff and families.
Yeah, when they're held upright, you do. I mean, going back to the first World's Fairs, yeah, that was the entire point.
I mean, what's holding up this Ferris wheel? A freaking Tesla coil? What is that?
No, it was before that. It was... I mean, all right. So Tesla's original idea was like, no, we can just light up this entire thing and all that, and he did it with small amount of effort, and then Edison's fucking smear campaign destroyed him.
Yeah, I feel like this fair may have been like...
That's kind of my point. Is it's a thing you might see in a World's Fair, some dangerous form of electricity, but the idea of there being dangerous forms of electricity at a carnival is, to me, thematically, like, I don't know, somehow reminiscent of that battle, of that historical battle, and you wouldn't, that's not how windmills work.
Like, I just feel like was this fair was this fair put on by Cadmus? Were they about to try some version of the Philadelphia experiment?
Plan was fucking Connor.
Yeah.
Front to back.
I'm just
Soup
saying.
to nuts, A to Z, Alpha Omega. Their entire plan.
I don't believe I don't feel like the Ferris wheel beam would have had enough electricity in it to take down Donna Troy. That being said,
I agree. That is my problem with this finale.
That being said, even if you could somehow justify it with her powers or her power level, it is terrible writing to be like, oh, well, she saved Dawn. Well, kind of, but it totally looked like Dawn was already out of the way. I know they said that she saved my life. Okay, I guess. But when I looked at it, it looked like you weren't even in the path of the thing.
It didn't look like terrible writing as much as it looked like terrible blocking.
But it was a senseless death, and not even in a good way. It was just like a random bit of bullshit thrown in. It wasn't because of a bad decision that someone made or anything related to the story. Just a random stray plot point to get Donna in line for what I think is coming next.
I don't know if it was a random stray plot point as much as it didn't. Again, I go down to the blocking. It didn't look like in line, or maybe the editing, but it looked like it. I don't know. Dawn had that shit under control, and I mean. Fuck. I've watched a similar episode of Supergirl where fucking what's her name had that shit under control. What's Danvers? Yeah,
Alex?
Danvers. Yeah, Alex had that completely under control with a couple devices on her wrist, and it killed Donna Troy. I mean, I'm not trying to compare the two. I'm just saying, on the one hand, I mean, these were literally 2 weeks away from each other when they aired.
I think they wrote themselves into a corner. I think what they want to do It feels like they want to.
I get what they wanted to do. That execution of her going out that way, I never bought it for a second. And then when Raven is like, I'm going to go with her, I'm like, yeah, you should go with her because you need to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you're trying to do emotionally, but it's just not, it doesn't work.
Well, I think what they want to do is they want to do Deathbringer. I think they want Donna to become Deathbringer and be like a major villain for the next season. And are you familiar with Deathbringer?
No.
It's from the comics.
Only tangentially.
Yeah, it's from the comics. It was basically Donna Troy is infected by a dark matter batarang from the Batman Who Laughs. And they're totally not going to do the Batman Who Laughs. But
right. Well,
if you take the dark matter batarangs...
I am completely aware, yeah. And
if you take that and switch it out for whatever the hell Raven's got going on, infecting gargoyles and shit to run around killing folk, I think
I assumed because it was metal that I was just missing something. But no, I'm completely familiar, and no, that is not at all how that's going to go down.
Oh, you don't think so? You don't think Raven's going to like infect her with her dark shit and turn her into Deathbringer?
No, because it had nothing to do with Raven.
Well, it doesn't matter that it doesn't have anything to do with Raven. They're not doing Batman Who Laughs.
I know they're not going to do Dark Knight's metal on Titans, although you could make an argument that it'd be a fun place to do it.
Oh, I wouldn't say that it wouldn't be a fun place. I just don't think they're going to do it. They won't even do Batman, for God's sake. They're not going to do Batman Who Laughs.
I'll give it this. I will give it this. If versions of Bruce Wayne that showed up in this season were entirely in Raven's head, it would make a lot of sense that there would be a nightmare version of things that would show up now.
I don't think that they were entirely in her head. I think we got three Bruces. We got real Bruce, we got Dick Bruce, who was just Bruce in Dick's head, and then we've got subconscious manifestation Raven Bruce.
Yeah, I agree. I think all three of those are there, but yeah, I mean it's a possible inlet to the dark universe, the dark multiverse, even if you want to, or the Nightmareverse or whatever you want to call it.
Right. I mean, if they want to make Raven's soul self a link to that, they could. But I think they will do a version of Deathbringer. That's my prediction. If
you want to say hi to Barbados on this one, go for it. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's a fun theory, and I wouldn't mind it.
I mean, I don't think we'll get any of the actual for real metal characters. I just think that they will infect her and turn her into Deathbringer, or that Raven will infect her and turn her into Deathbringer in trying to heal her and bring her back.
Maybe.
That's what I think. I don't think they're going full metal, but I think when she actually does come back, it'll be as proper Troya, and she will be a god.
I think that part is true. I don't think they're gonna. I think they've been evolving Raven's control over her powers the entire time, and I don't think they're gonna just suddenly pull the rug out from under her. I think she's going to develop her powers in Themyscira and grow them rather than not. Also, like, you remember the purple light you can use in Themyscira to heal people?
No, I don't remember that.
It's, God, I wish I remembered the reference right now, but it's some sort of weird fucking purple light. And it struck me when they were going back that it was a purple light and Raven's color is purple.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that may be something that may be referenced. And God, I wish I could remember anything about the purple light. I know it's a thing.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that purple light.
It's a thing. You can help the Themyscirans with it, but shit.
I mean, if they have that, what do they need Raven for?
You can only heal them to a certain extent, and
to actually necromance, you need Raven.
I think you need.
Why would Rachel not try to heal her there at the fair? Why would she wait until they bury her or put her in a casket and send her off to Themyscira to go, you know what? And it seemed like it was a total last minute decision. Dick, I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go and try to help her.
I don't like that scene for a lot of reasons. I will give it the idea that, like, if you're Raven, you have a different connection to life or death. And I'll give it this credence. Like, on the one hand, I think, well, she knew she was dead, so she didn't even try. On the other hand, I think, well, you went to Themyscira to try.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't know, that's why my head went to places like the Purple Light and, it being a fucking place where the Greek gods are real.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause maybe, I don't know, I wouldn't mind seeing this version of Raven swim through the river Styx to fucking save Donna or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it, let's do this. reach out, grab Gar, bring him with you.
Mhm.
Have him swim like a fucking water moccasin through the river and pop up on the other side and be like, "Arr, gotcha."
Yeah. I don't know. Like I feel like it was a mostly great season, whiffed totally by the ending, and man, I hate feeling that way.
I get the rushed feeling from the last two finales. I don't think it whiffed for me at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, just watching it, physiologically, I was engaged. Like, I felt my muscles twitching. It's a thing you can do if you think about what you're doing in an action scene. If you feel your muscles twitching, you're more engaged than you think you are.
Yeah.
And man, I felt that. I was engaged. I was happy with it. I had some questions afterwards, but it was really entertaining. It was kind of quick, and there are things I want more of, but it's kind of like same as season one. It's kind of quick, and there are things I want more of, but I got them.
Yeah, I think they go.
I think I'm 90% happy with the series.
I am too, until I look back at it and go like, yeah, we're getting rushed endings and weird chopped up endings because they are spending way too much time on like thoughtful independent film character pieces. Tell the story, man. Don't.
Well, in a way though, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Most of the episode titles are characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I really fucking dig that. I love how much time we're spending on character development. And there is still a lot of story being told, and I don't know. I don't know where this... We're also dealing with a platform that's just starting. So I don't know to what extent they can tell a story for a character and be sure they're going to be able to follow through on that later on. I don't know where that's leaving them production-wise, but it's a new format for this particular canon of storytelling.
Yeah.
And I get that it's a little iffy. Like, you don't have like, if you're a network show and you know where the ratings are, you can kind of take a guess, and, you know, maybe some execs are lying to you, but, you know, you have some barometer, you know? Mm-hmm. They have nothing.
Yeah.
So
and we are only
in
led
the dark to some extent.
Yeah. And we're led to more confusion personally, like as far as we're concerned, because nothing is like DC Universe doesn't tell you how well it's doing.
No, the numbers are blind.
Swamp Thing was canceled after the first episode, so we have no idea it didn't even matter. They were just like, nope, it's too expensive or something. Something's not working there. They won't tell us what that was. Titans keeps getting renewed.
Titans was renewed for season 2 before, or right as season 1, episode 1 aired. I think it was right before.
It was before. Titans was renewed before it ever even aired. And Stargirl is now suddenly, it was pushed back and was now suddenly
pushed back by like 7 or 8 months. I mean, it was,
but is now
substantial.
Suddenly also going to be airing the next day on the CW. Funny thing though, I recently read that there's a rumor going around that Stargirl is going to make her debut in Crisis, and that's why they pushed it back.
Oh, that would be nice.
Because they wanted to do the same thing with her that they did with Batwoman. Now, I mean, yeah, you could look at it and go, well, that makes sense. If you want more eyes on it and more eyes going to DC Universe, I can understand that. Or if the show is just too damned expensive and CW didn't want to make it, and DC Universe like, we'll foot the bill on it or split it with you or something, and it also airs on CW. I mean, that makes sense to a certain degree, and you're getting more exposure for DC Universe. But then you pop over and look at Doom Patrol, and that's going to be airing on HBO Max as well as DC Universe. Again, same thing, but it's also like, it's a little weird. And it's like, how do you interpret these actions into guesstimating what the hell is going on with their viewership on DC Universe? Yeah, it's just that. It's just so weird. Who knows?
There's a lot of guessing and a lot of hypotheses. What I'm sure we're dealing with is a fledgling product branching out into new territory, and all of their numbers are completely blind. I mean, we could read tea leaves or fucking chicken entrails or tarot cards, whatever you want to do, and to some extent, short of just best guesses, come up with, I don't know, maybe. I mean, I have a 2-headed scratched off Two-Face coin We can just flip that if you want to.
Yeah. Man, I didn't think I was going to care. I mean, the streaming wars has been crazy, and I was like, well, I've got this and this and this, and I'm not going to get anything else. Dude, that For All Mankind stuff is really making me want to get Apple TV.
What? All right, what's that? Hold on.
For All Mankind.
Yeah?
That they actually did a sort of a Ronald D. Moore thing on Imaginary Worlds this past week, I think it was, where they talked about it. It is basically an alternate history where
Is that the Soviet Union thing?
The Soviets made it to the moon first.
Yeah. No, I heard about that. I listened to that episode, I mean.
Yeah, and honestly, that Jennifer Aniston show looks pretty good, and that Jason Momoa C looks pretty good, and my wife is really interested in The Servant, which is the Shyamalan thing. I don't really think I'm interested in that, but damn it, Apple TV's got some stuff going for it. I'll give it that. Like, I didn't think I was going to care, and then all of a sudden I care.
I do love that, and we're far off topic now, but
which is par for course for us.
Yeah, welcome to the show. I do love that we're, as far as I can tell, we're sitting in the infancy of a new age of distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the fun parts of covering what we cover, is it's frustrating at times, but we're also, in a way, like bleeding edge, we'll see what happens, because Warner Brothers doesn't have like this MCU, Marvel, DC... MCU, Marvel, Disney connection. It's not part of a greater distribution network in a certain way. Like, Warner Brothers is a heavy hitter, but what they're doing with a lot of the stuff that we cover, they're just stretching their legs and seeing what happens and what works.
I think
we get a slightly different take than a lot of the Marvel stuff that, frankly, I watch and enjoy. And I mean, I watched 4 episodes of Mandalorian yesterday. I'm not opposed to any damn thing that's happening. I'm just saying, like, and the Warner Brothers DC connection is ambiguous, and they're trying shit, and it might be kind of fun. We might get some new shit, like a new way to distribute.
I think it's great and interesting that you're watching Mandalorian, because you're not a Star Wars fan.
No, but I've enjoyed the episode. Really? I watched on a whim. I was like, this is actually pretty enjoyable.
Well, it's Jon Favreau. I mean, you had to give it a shot, right?
Oh, yeah. He's earned my trust.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think I have much more on Titans, honestly. Like, I look forward to seeing where they go with it, and me being completely and utterly disgusted and dismayed by this finale is not enough to put me off of watching another season. I
love the disdain. And yet you're like, nope, I enjoyed most of what I saw except for the last couple seconds, but okay.
Well, no, this last episode was, to me, just a travesty.
I really enjoyed it. I watched it twice.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. I was
like, this is a lot of fun action, and I think there were a lot of payoffs that I think, how do I put this? There was some distraction, and I think there were hidden payoffs, so I was watching for those, and I think that's gonna matter for me later, but I wasn't watching it thinking, oh, this is going to wrap some stuff up. I was watching it thinking, yeah, we're going to get some new stuff out of it.
Yeah. And honestly, I want there to be a theme of the ramifications of bringing someone back from the dead. I want Jason Todd to die off screen sometime in between the 2 seasons. And I want him to come back as Red Hood at the same time we get Donna Troy coming back, and things going awry with her, and possibly being Deathbringer. I think that could be really cool.
I'm open to other possibilities, but I
that sounds pretty good though, right?
It's not bad. I just I don't know. I feel like, and if I'm wrong about myself on this, tell me, but I feel like traditionally I'm open to interpretations more than I feel like I am on this point. If Jason Todd dies, I want the Joker.
Oh, I mean, I don't mind if they don't want to do Joker. I don't mind if they do Joker off screen, like it happened in between seasons. Like, well, But that's one of my problems is if you have him die, you have to have I'm not even proud of this instinct, but it's one of those where I'm so specific about it that I question myself. If Jason Todd dies, he has to die by the hand of the Joker. If the Joker's
in the universe, you have to show me him.
Well, we saw him in the Dick Grayson episode. He was smushed in the top of a car, but you saw him.
It wasn't enough.
I don't feel that kind of entitlement, honestly. I just feel
I don't even think it's entitlement. I just feel like there's so little to his story in a way. I don't know. I just pretensed all of that with me saying I think this is on me. So
yeah. I mean, if you you don't seem to have a problem with it when they do it in Young Justice, where they come back and like, oh, you know what happened to so and so? Oh, you know what happened to Jason? Oh, yeah, and then they just move on.
I don't.
So
I think I could be talked out of this instinct. I think what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think
I'm not sure I'm that tied to it, but
yeah, I think if there is here's what has happened, and then we get Jason Todd and Donna coming back, and maybe I think there's a lot they could do with it thematically, and I think they'll go there probably. If it happens, it'll be next season, I think.
I think other people could kill him and it would make sense, but it would make a lot of sense if Deathstroke killed him, and that's why he came back. In a way. Or why both of them came back, frankly. That was Deathstroke's "No, I'm still here" moment, and that's Jason Todd's resurrection moment.
That could be good.
I could deal with both those.
That could be interesting. They could even do a thing where...
have Rose bring him out crippled.
Yeah, they could do a thing where Joker has killed Jason, and then Slade gets a hold of the body and does like a blood transfusion or some crap and infects him with his own blood so that he has that way you don't have to get Ra's al Ghul involved. It's like something that actually matters to the show and has some sort of connection with the story they've told so far, which, judging by this finale, I will say I don't think they have a great track record of.
Well, only in the sense that the big bads for the first two seasons are people who theoretically aren't dead yet. Mm-hmm. But in the sense that they've moved on and they've progressed all the stories and the characters and all that, phenomenal.
But that's another reason that it should work is, you have Donna resurrected, Slade resurrected, and Red Hood, Jason resurrected. I think resurrection might be the theme of the next season. And if it's not, it should be.
It very well might be. I mean, you could say Nightwing's entire thing this season is that.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, he literally gets buried, by his own volition. We'll call it his prime personality's volition. He gets buried, and this is what comes out of it. And it's as much a Nightwing as it is a Phoenix situation. Mm-hmm. Same way you have Starfire, who's literally a bird with fire capabilities, and she gets clipped. Mm-hmm. That's part of what we're doing next season, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. They're definitely doing something with...
I mean... Yeah. You got my next paycheck on a bet on that one.
Oh, yeah. They'll which, if, this season is an indication, we'll get her for, 3 episodes spread out over the 13 or 10 or however many it is, and... lots of other things that all rush to finish up in the last episode.
See, I thought they brought it pretty well together, but it is one of the things that I do appreciate about the show is they spend time on characters and they're willing to just straight name an episode after a character and just do that character study.
Yeah.
I like that. Mm-hmm. I get you on the I wish it had a more team up-ish kind of payoff, but I don't know if they're willing to do that every season. I think they're...
The best thing about the entire season was watching that Batman Forever / Batman and Robin Joel Schumacher shot at the end where they're all running down the alley with Crypto and the silhouette scene.
I get it, but I get how this show is also committing to no, we're going to do the parts in between. We're going to give you moments like that, but we're going to do the bits that aren't there. The bits where Hawk and Dove stay together, but Hank and Dawn don't, and stuff like that.
Right. And I don't mind that.
I appreciate it.
I don't mind that so much if just the finales / premieres didn't seem so weird and rushed.
They seem rushed. I agree. I agree on that.
It's just okay, well, we've got to get you to the next bit where they're mopey and having flashbacks again.
But I think where we disagree is some part of me was yeah, they're rushed, but they're rushing the rewards I've earned all season.
Yeah.
And, I can for sure appreciate when they're like, no, that didn't work for me. But
it's like I've been eating vegetables for a week only to get a crumb of cake.
I mean, I get that.
And it wasn't even particularly good cake.
I don't have an analogy for that. I don't have a rebuttal in that analogy.
I'm pretty sure they used
cake
rotten
analogy
eggs.
Universe.
They used bad eggs
really
to make this cake.
I mean, I spent much of my last couple of weeks baking red velvet cakes, and I can only tell you that, like, I have stains on my jeans, and stains on the floor, and stains on even the garbage can next to where I put the dough mixer, or the batter mixer, or whatever you want. It's a fucking KitchenAid, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, that took some time, but when it all came together, it was a goddamn red velvet cake, and it was delicious.
Well, that's good.
But there were all these stains, and it seemed like it was, you know, it was already there in a way. I can kind of get it, but not really.
Yeah, all right. I've lost the narrative here. I think we went from I have a metaphor or an analogy, and then it became a real discussion about you making a cake. Did I miss something?
Yeah.
I'm not terribly bright.
I would no, I don't think you missed a thing. I was trying to stretch and be like, I don't know. I mean, it was just really hard work, and then there was a cake.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed the speed with which that cake happened after all those hours of making everything happen.
All right,
that's it.
I think I got nothing else, man.
Yeah, I'm good.
Cool. Thank you so much for listening. Let us know what you thought of the Titans Season 2 and the Titans Season 2 finale. And DCOnScreen.com for every episode for free. Patreon.com/DCOnScreen to help support the show. Or Apple Podcast. Please go check us out and leave us a rating and a review. And I mean, if you don't like the show and you feel like you have to leave us a low rating, well, that's fine. It does add legitimacy to the show.
Yeah,
in some regard, and we'll be back next week, hopefully with some news, and maybe that'll happen. I don't know. All right, until next time, keep some DC on your screen.
Bye.
Our intro music is by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band, Galactic Engineers of Magnetic Sounds, or GEMS, can be found on SoundCloud and Bandcamp. Visit DCOnScreen.com to find our Patreon, merch, contact information, and every episode of the show for free, including crossovers we've done with other podcasts. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. For more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy, vlogs, parodies, and our improvised web series Hey Guy, visit maladjusted.tv.